Hello everyone, my name is Akansha Massey. I have done my masters in obstetrics and gynecology, and today I am going to discuss a very new syndrome that is emerging and is quite rare in obstetrics and gynecology. We have studied a lot of syndromes previously in OBG, but ये जो नए symptoms हैं ये नए हैं और बहुत ही कम लोग अभी इन syndromes के बारे में जानते हैं. तो आइए हम फर्स्ट सिंड्रोम पढ़ते हैं. The very first syndrome will be discussed, but first we have to understand that what is a syndrome. A syndrome is a set of medical signs and symptoms which are correlated with each other and often associated with a particular disease or disorder. मतलब ये ग्रुप ऑफ मेडिकल साइन एंड सिम्टम्स होते हैं जो कोरिलेटेड होते हैं एक दूसरे से और एसोसिएटेड होते हैं किसी न किसी डिसीज़ या डिसऑर्डर के जो कि हमारी बॉडी में पहले से है. राइट. एक दूसरी भी डेफिनेशन सिंड्रोम्स की है. That is a group of symptoms which consistently occur together or a condition that is characterized by a set of associated symptoms. Right? So now we will move on to the very first syndrome, that is antiphospholipid syndrome. Synonyms of antiphospholipid syndrome are antiphospholipid antibody syndrome, Hughes syndrome, and lupus anticoagulant syndrome. So before we study about autoimmunity and its first syndrome, that is antiphospholipid antibody syndrome, we will first quickly review the immune system. The immune system is an elaborated network of cells and tissues and organs that helps to protect the body from invaders which can be virus, bacteria and parasites. But usually immune system develops only to act upon foreign substances and immune system cells that try to combat cells of the body. But however, in lupus and other autoimmune diseases, what happens? The immune system begins to recognize and attack self tissues and cells. Right? So the definition of APS. APS is an autoimmune disease which can cause frequent clotting in arteries and veins or miscarriages. The clotting results from the presence of proteins in the body, in the blood, called antiphospholipid autoantibodies, which are commonly called as APL, which are formed against the person's own tissues. These autoantibodies affect from normal clotting process, leading to increased clot formation or thrombosis in the pregnancy. The syndrome is characterized by sticky blood, where major factors noted include recurrent thrombosis potentially in both veins and arteries, including potentially serious organ disease such as stroke and a whole variety of other symptoms. For women with this syndrome in pregnancy, there is a high risk of recurrent miscarriage due to thrombosis of very small and tiny blood vessels, which lead to the baby through the placenta. So when we are talking about APL, it is repeatedly coming that lupus is also having the same features. So it comes to one's mind that what is the difference between SLE and APS. So I would like to tell you all that SLE, that is systemic lupus erythematosus, is a prototypical autoimmune disease which is characterized by an extreme variety of anti-nuclear antibodies and by different clinical presentations. Whereas antiphospholipid syndrome is characterized by the presence of arterial or venous thrombosis and antiphospholipid antibodies. Next, catastrophic antiphospholipid syndrome (CAPS). It is a rare but potentially life-threatening condition characterized by diffuse vascular thrombosis leading to multiple organ failure developing over a short period of time in the presence of positive antiphospholipid antibodies. So it is a catastrophic event. इसमें तब होता है जब जो हमारे अंदर फीमेल प्रेग्नेंट लेडी के अंदर APL जो एंटीबॉडीज़ हैं वो इतनी डिफ्यूज हो चुकी हैं, सर्कुलेट हो रही हैं पूरी बॉडी में, और अगर वो मल्टीपल ऑर्गन में फेलियर करें या राइट जैसे जो ब्लड क्लॉटिंग हो रही है वो मल्टीपल ऑर्गन्स के अंदर हो जाए और वहाँ पे ब्लड सप्लाई रुक जाए, तो अचानक एट सडन सारे के सारे ऑर्गन्स में ब्लड सप्लाई रुक जाती है और वो ऑर्गन्स अपना काम बंद कर देते हैं. इसको मल्टीपल ऑर्गन फेलियर कहा जाता है. दैट इज कैप्स. नेक्स्ट, द रिस्क फैक्टर्स एंड कॉजेज. द कॉजेज अननोन स्टिल बिकॉज काफ़ी ऑटो इम्यून डिजीजेस के कॉजेज हमें नहीं पता. जेनेटिक एंड एनवायरमेंटल फैक्टर्स. recent infections that syphilis, HIV या और भी किसी तरीके के बैक्टीरियल एंड वायरल इन्फेक्शंस हो सकते हैं, जो कि रिसर्चर्स बिलीव करती हैं कि जब हमें ऑटो इम्यूनिटी ट्रिगर होती है तो उसका कारण ये वायरसेस और बैक्टीरिया हो सकते हैं, जो कि हमारी बॉडी में ट्रिगरेंस करते हैं, जीन्स में ट्रिगरेंस करते हैं, जिनकी वजह से इम्यूनिटी ट्रिगर हो जाती है. नेक्स्ट इज़ प्रोलॉन्ग्ड इनएक्टिविटी, दैट इज़ रिस्ट्रिक्टेड टू बेड. जैसे काफ़ी प्रोलॉन्ग्ड अगर एक्टिविटी हो चुकी है, जैसे मूव नहीं कर रहे हैं, एम्बुलेशन नहीं कर रहे हैं और काफ़ी दिन से बेड पे हैं, नॉट एक्सरसाइजिंग एंड सीडेंटरी लाइफ स्टाइल, तो इन सब चीज़ों की वजह से पूलिंग ऑफ ब्लड इज़ अ फैक्टर. जो हमारी बॉडी के डिफरेंट पार्ट्स हैं वहाँ पे देयर इज़ अ पूलिंग ऑफ ब्लड. जहाँ पे पूलिंग और कलेक्शन ऑफ ब्लड होगा वहाँ पे थ्रोम्बोसिस के लिए बहुत ईजी हो जाएगा टू मेक अ क्लॉट और अ थ्रोम्बस. सो इट कैन बी अ कॉज and a risk factor. Additional risk factors for thrombosis are obesity, atherosclerosis, and the use of estrogen birth control pills and an associated systemic autoimmune diseases, right? So obesity को भी कहा जाता है because obesity changes the chemical makeup of our blood and it leads to inflammation and more prone to clotting. Birth control measures are also included as a risk factor because they contain estrogen and synthetic progesterone, also progestin, which can increase a woman's risk for blood clots because they cause an increase in the level of clotting factors or clotting proteins in a woman's body, right? Then factors 2, 7, 8, 9th, 12th and von Willebrand's factor also increases during pregnancy under APS antibodies, and fibrinogen levels increase to levels that are almost twice that of the non-pregnant state. Now we will see the signs and symptoms. APS affects women 5 times more commonly than men. It is typically diagnosed between the ages of 30 and 40. Chest pain हो सकता है because if the thrombosis is there in the coronary arteries, it can produce chest pain. There can be redness, pain, warmth and swelling of the limbs अगर वहाँ पे thrombus है. Ongoing headaches can be there because if the parts of the brain affecting the eyes and all the nerve supplies are affected, then the headaches or migraines may occur. Upper body discomfort in the arms, back, neck and jaw, again depending on the clot. Nausea can be there, abnormal fetal movements because of lack of supply through placenta to the baby, and the low or absent FHS in the extreme condition when the placental supply is completely cut off, right? Next we will see the venous thrombosis. It is seen in arm vein clots or clotting, kidney veins clots or clotting, and clots are there in the eye veins and veins of the brain as well. आर्टेरियल थ्रोम्बोसिस में लेग आर्टरी क्लॉट्स हो सकते हैं और हार्ट अटैक्स आ सकते हैं. प्रेगनेंसी लॉसेस में रिकरेंट मिसकैरेजेस हो सकते हैं बिकॉज ऑफ प्लेसेंटल थ्रोम्बोसिस. और अदर फीचर्स हैं इसके लिविडो रेटिकुलरिस, जिसमें हम ब्लू पर्पल लेस लाइक स्किन पैटर्न्स और रैशेस देखते हैं ऑल ओवर द बॉडी. So these are some pictures of the women during pregnancy which were having APA. You in the left side you can see the thrombosis seen in the knees, and in the right side you can see a picture जिसमें पूरा का पूरा जो foot है वो thrombosed है, right? Next we will see the how that APS is affecting a pregnancy. A pregnant woman who has APS can have successful pregnancy. However, they are at higher risk for miscarriages, stillbirth and other pregnancy related problems such as preeclampsia. For obstetric complications इसमें major manifestations होती हैं और serious impact हो सकता है maternal and fetal morbidity पे. These include recurrent miscarriages and are also associated with other adverse obstetric outcomes like preterm delivery, fetal growth restrictions, preeclampsia and the HELLP syndrome. HELLP syndrome is a group of symptoms that occur in pregnant women who have hemolysis, elevated liver enzymes and low platelet count, right? So for pregnant women, APL can lead to early and late miscarriage, preeclampsia, right? And all of these things which can cause fetal growth retardation and placental tissues blocking their growth and development. Next we will see a chart which is showing that if APA or a confused diagnosis is made that what is happening with the pregnant woman, why the legs and everything is getting thrombosed, then we will suggest for a laboratory criteria for 3 antibodies to be tested soon. They are lupus anticoagulant, anti-cardiolipin antibody, anti-beta 2 glycoprotein antibody. right? Thrombosis will be checked by arterial thrombosis imaging, venous thrombosis, and small blood vessels thrombosis also by imaging. Then pregnancy related morbidity will be checked, like miscarriage of less than 10 weeks, then premature birth before 34 weeks of gestation, and the other unexplained causes. Antiphospholipid antibody related concerns during pregnancy. Now we will study what they are. First is miscarriages, because of early जो miscarriages होते हैं और antibodies हैं, triggered हैं, तो उनकी वजह से हो सकता है. अगर मिड टर्म में पहुंच गई हैं तो प्री टर्म डिलीवरी हो सकती है बिफोर 37 वीक्स ऑफ जेस्टेशन एज अ रिजल्ट ऑफ प्री eclampsia or seizures or any kind of placental insufficiency. Then intrauterine growth restriction can be there because fetuses that are smaller than expected. And blood clots during pregnancy and up to 6 weeks following the birth of the baby. Alright. Next we will see the pathogenesis. Antiphospholipid antibodies promote activation of endothelial cells, monocytes and platelets, which cause an overproduction of tissue factor and thromboxane A2. These factors associated with the typical changes in the hemostatic system during normal pregnancy which result in a hypercoagulable state. This is responsible for thrombosis that is presumed to provoke many of the pregnancy complications associated with APS. So how we will diagnose? Again we will advise for a blood test, that is for APL antibodies, complete blood count, lupus anticoagulant also, anti-cardiolipin antibody and anti-beta-2 glycoprotein. We will also advise for other checks like high blood pressure, ultrasounds, fetal monitoring, Doppler studies, and also for all the prenatal advices. Now we will study about the complications during pregnancy. There can be many: hypertension, gestational diabetes, infections, preeclampsia, preterm labor, miscarriage, stillbirth and others. But they will get worse due to APL antibodies. How we will see that? There can be stroke, there can be epilepsy, then vascular dementia. Like vascular dementia is a problem with the reasoning, planning, judgment, memory and other thought processes in the brain which are impaired because of the lack of blood supply, which is due to thrombus, right? Then pulmonary embolism, we all know. Then portal venous thrombosis is the blockage of narrowing of the portal vein by a blood clot. Then Budd-Chiari syndrome is very rare and it affects in 1 in million only. But this condition is also by occlusion of the hepatic veins that drain in the liver. Then livedo reticularis we have studied. Then osteonecrosis, it is also known as vascular necrosis, and because of the cutoff in a blood supply to the bone, right? Then gangrene, we all know that it refers to the death of the body tissue due to either a lack of blood flow or a series of bacterial infection. Then we have in the right side you can see there is a retinal vein thrombosis. This retinal vein thrombosis is causing a new rare condition, that is amaurosis fugax, which is a temporary loss of vision in one or both eyes due to a lack of blood flow to the retina. Then chorea, it is characterized by brief, abrupt and irregular, unpredictable, non-stereotyped movements. Now we will see the management. First is we can give the anticoagulants. Second, the aspirin can be given. And third, heparin should be started. Now we will see some painkillers which can be recommended during pregnancy for the females who are having APA. Like aspirin is strongly not recommended, right? But we have to see and outweigh the risk. Taking this in the first trimester can have very serious consequences like birth defects and many things. But हमें ये देखना है कि इसका जो benefit है वो कितना है और इसके रिस्क कितने हैं. Then along with the consultation with the rheumatologist and with the obstetrician, the medicine should be started. Paracetamol is considered very safe, whereas ibuprofen is not considered. A subcutaneous injection of Lovenox may also be used for obstetrics or thrombosis prophylaxis. Lower doses of 20 to 40 mg per day SC are used to prevent fetal loss, while higher doses are used for thrombosis prophylaxis in patients who have had prior thrombotic events. Patients who require heparin administration throughout pregnancy should also receive calcium and vitamin D supplementation to help avoid heparin-induced osteoporosis. For this, we can do something like if the mother is having heparin therapy and already the calcium and the vitamin D levels are coming low and investigated in the blood test report, then we should advise 60,000 IU of vitamin D once a week for at least 4 weeks. Then prenatal care. Counseling should be done. Pregnant ladies should be counseled in all cases regarding symptoms of thrombosis and thromboembolism, how they have to understand, how they have to detect, and how they have to manage with the symptoms. Should be educated regarding the examined frequently for and sign and symptoms of the thrombosis and embolism, severe preeclampsia, or decreased fetal movements. Ultrasonography is also recommended every 3 to 4 weeks starting at 18 to 20 weeks of gestation in patients with a poor obstetric history, and evidence of preeclampsia or evidence of fetal growth restriction should also be checked. Any early signs of blood clot, which includes numbness, swelling, sudden onset of pain in the legs and arms, as well as shortness of breath, chest pain, coughing blood or blood-streaked mucus, paralysis or weakness of the face or limbs, slurred speech and visual changes should be reported and should be taught to the pregnant lady, like how she has to identify and how she has to report. Next, the signs of increased protein in the urine, including foamy urine and or swellings in the hands, face or feet or face, should be also checked. The signs of thrombocytopenia, the component in blood that regulates clotting, which include bleeding from the mouth or nose, bloody or dark stool, bloody urine, and bruising on red dots on the skin. The signs of preeclampsia, which include high blood pressure, abdominal pain, nausea, vomiting, headache, and change in the vision, should be reported. Now, how the delivery should be done? If the mother and the baby are healthy at the time of labor, vaginal delivery is likely to be successful. However, if the mother and the baby are under stress or in the event of preterm labor, a cesarean section might be the safest and the fastest method of the delivery. Now, what should mothers do with antiphospholipid syndrome after the delivery of the baby? First is the regular checkup. Next is the medications, which we have already discussed, like subcutaneous injections of the heparin recommended for 6 to 8 weeks after delivery to prevent all blood clots, and special precautions which should be the elastic compression stockings and early mobilization also for critical for patients with a history of blood clots and for those who had cesarean sections. And birth control options should be discussed with the gynecologist. Family planning. Breastfeeding is not a reliable method for birth control and estrogen control for these mothers because already they are under the influence of AP like thrombosis all over the body, and birth control pills are also considered to thicken the blood. Next is the postpartum care. Warfarin. Discontinuation at the moment of positive pregnancy test, it is done. Then it is allowed in the second part of the gestation only if benefits outweigh the risk. Then it is allowed after delivery as it is not excreted in milk. And lower molecular weight heparin is all allowed in pregnancy as well after the delivery. Now, is it possible for a mother with antiphospholipid antibody syndrome to breastfeed her baby? So, the answer is yes. Most women with APS are able to breastfeed their babies. However, some medications can transfer through the breast milk into the baby. Non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs like acetaminophen and hydrochloroquine, low-dose prednisolone, less than 20 mg per kg day, warfarin and heparin are safe during breastfeeding. Next, what effects can antiphospholipid syndrome have on the baby? Most APS patients give birth to healthy babies. However, these babies are prone to low birth weight. But in some cases, APL may be detected in the baby's blood at birth as a consequence of maternal transmission. However, the antibodies tend to disappear within the first 6 months and usually do not result in blood clots. So, we have a very good case study for that. There was a 2-month-old girl presented with multiple hypopigmented and depressed lesions over face, scalp, and erythematous lesions over forehead, cheeks, and around eyes since birth. The mother was asymptomatic at the time of presentation with no history of drug intake during pregnancy, eclampsia, photosensitivity, or recurrent oral ulcers. But on cutaneous examination, multiple depressed, atrophic, and hypopigmented plaques were present on face involving the forehead, cheeks, periorbital area, and scalp, anterior abdomen, and back. Investigations revealed that the baby was having anemia, thrombocytopenia, and raised liver enzymes. Anti-nuclear antibody ENA test was positive and speckled pattern and anti-ROLA was present in high titers in both mother and infant. VDRL of mother and baby was non-reactive. Ultrasound abdomen, ECG and echocardiography were normal. We diagnosed neonatal lupus erythematosus and advised tacrolimus 0.03% ointment once daily with strict photoprotection. The patient showed marked improvement in the lesions in the next 3 months, and this is the baby which can be seen with all the features of multiple hypopigmented and depressed lesions over the face and scalp. Next is the NLE, which is a neonatal lupus erythematosus, is a rare and often misdiagnosed immune-mediated disease. It is usually associated with maternal antibodies to proteins which are transferred by the placenta. But a differential diagnosis is always made. So, for this condition, what can be the differential diagnosis? It will be tinea corporis, seborrheic dermatitis, congenital syphilis, which is ruled by a test, and if it is positive then it is like due to syphilis, and annural erythema of infancy and aplasia cutis, that is the absence of the skin during the birth, since birth.